All right, let's do the SmackDown review. Oh, by the way, too, I want to say something. I kind of like, when that clip, we went on YouTube, and where we were kind of like defending Vince's booking and like talking about the history of him and the dirt sheets, everything, and all that. And I had basically said that like Vince was the guy that kind of like started writing the show, and I ignored. I want to go on the record. Ed Ferrara did too, and I'm wondering. I think actually Ed Ferrara was the guy that first started formatting the sheet like that.
We named Eddie Bear Ferrara.
No. But I'm not saying like when we like if you're in the business, if you go to a show and you see a format sheet, I think Ed might have been the first guy that like formatted it like that. Yeah, maybe. Well, he was a Hollywood writer. Vince wasn't. So, right. but I don't know. But I'm just saying that I think I said it was all Vince, but Ed, I think obviously I don't know, but I don't want to discount.
Yeah,
because it may be misinformation. Ed might be the guy that formatted the show like that we know what like that is a format sheet today. Yeah. So because he was a Hollywood guy, but yeah, let's see. Did you watch SmackDown?
Yes, I did.
All right. What was the number, Joe?
2.149 million.
Yeah, a little down. It's getting hot outside, so I imagine numbers are going to start going down a little bit. I watched SmackDown. I didn't watch Raw yet. What game was on Friday night? Was it Boston Philly? Was there? I don't know either.
I don't remember.
But
Boston Philly definitely was Friday because that's
it's kind of weird though because
they had a hockey game too.
Right, Roman came back, which is kind of interesting. I thought the number would be higher.
And that was a game 7 too. That was a game 7.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So next, so it started off. We did this thing where they introduced this new belt, and they had the 12-man tournament, which is 4 triple threat matches. And this was they opened up with the triple threat number 3, AJ versus Edge versus Rey Mysterio, and it's very. Okay, Joe, do you remember what we said when we were predicting who was going to win these matches on the show?
No.
Okay, I predicted AJ.
He doesn't write anything down. Bro, I told you to send me that thing yesterday, Joe, and you never sent it to me.
What did you not send, Joe?
What did I not send?
The thing on Tony.
Oh, I didn't. Well, I didn't go through the segment yet. That's all. Yeah, it's not. Right. It's not. I haven't used it or anything like that.
All right, my bad. Go ahead.
So next is so AJ, Edge, and Ray, and I predicted that AJ would be the one wrestling Seth, and AJ won this match. So I'm sitting pretty with my prediction. All right. I didn't. What'd you think of this? I mean, these guys are good. It's a good match, but it's just like 16 minutes. I'm not a big fan of tournament matches because to me they're fillers to get to a point to just get a match.
I watched this match because you have 3 of the best wrestlers probably of the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to see, and plus my brother's in there, Rey Mysterio. Anything Rey does, Dom does, I'm always going to watch.
I miss it. It says there's a spot. It says there's a flubbed spot at the end. What happened at the end? Did they miss a spot here? I fast forwarded.
I don't remember them flubbing it. What does it say? It
says there was a missed spot at the end.
I don't remember that.
Put in position. Okay. Ray went up top and dove at Edge, but they appeared to botch whatever the spot was supposed to be. Then Styles hit Edge with a phenomenal form and pinned him. So I guess there was a botcher right at the very end. So I don't know.
I didn't notice it.
Which is kind of disappointing because the way you hype these 3 guys the past 20 years, they flubbed the finish. That
happens to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
But the it was kind of weird because for whatever reason, what's this guy? Styles and Mysterio were in the ring, and they gave Edge like an intro.
Right.
Which was very wild. He got a humongous pop, by the way.
Yeah.
There was this one part which was very, very creative. I don't know if you saw it when Styles slid Mysterio under the ropes and Edge caught him, and then he drop kicked him into a DDT.
Mm-hmm. I did see that spot.
Yeah, that was good.
I think that spot was on the. They posted it on Twitter. Yeah. I recall it.
And let me just say, this is just a little thing, but if they would have done that drop quicker, if he wouldn't have, I don't think he might have hit the ropes. If you wouldn't have hit the ropes and just come running from the middle of the ring and drop kick him, they would have gotten a bigger pop. I thought Edge was standing there a little bit too long. But I like, Edge speared. There was also another spot where Edge speared Mysterio and Styles through the ropes and off the apron. That was great too.
Yeah.
I like this match. I did not notice the botch spot though.
Okay, so next is They showed the Usos all fired up backstage for waiting for Roman. So then they showed so Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus in the triple threat, and Bobby Lashley went over here. Bobby Lashley got hard. Bobby Lashley looked like he got concussed, and I guess he didn't go through protocols or anything because he got bloodied. And if you look at there was footage from ringside, like a ringside fancing, he looked like he was out of it. All right, so this has not been a good week for concussion protocol in wrestling and basketball because, like, it gets I don't know. It's like the thing about here's the thing with the concussion protocol, right? Is unless there's outrage, nobody really talks about it.
Well, the thing is, Glenn, when you're there in real time, and so you're like, all right, if this guy AD doesn't play, we're gonna lose. And AD probably knows it, and LeBron probably went up to him and said, bro, I can't do this without you, man. Or whatever the scenario is. If he did have a concussion, they needed him and he played. And same thing with Bobby Lashley, because if he did have a concussion, he was going to the finals of this thing.
I'm aware of that.
And they'd have to change everything. And he probably said, you know what? I don't want to make a big deal about it. How you feeling? I'm feeling good. You sure? I'm sure. What day is it today? Oh, whatever day. All right. Yeah, you were good to rest or however it went, But I just think also the wrestlers, a lot of times if they see that they don't fight it and they're like, look, I'm good. Don't worry. I'm good. They're like, all right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's kind of weird that I find that narrative, especially with the Adam Cole situation where he got severely concussed and was out forever and finally came back, and the Tua stuff.
Bro, but brother,
that we saw. We don't even know if Tua's going to
be. You gotta remember, wrestlers, like any human being, they see it happen to other people and they don't give a
right.
Like I was watching this movie, Casino, the other day.
Right.
And the guy that it was based on, Rosenthal, who was a mobster from Chicago and that got sent to Vegas. What a great movie. I forgot how good that was.
I just started reading the book for the first time.
Yeah, it was based on that book, but it's a real story, Joe.
Yeah.
And I went into a rabbit hole on the whole Chicago. They were called the Chicago Squad. Yeah. From the Al Capone days to the St. Valentine's Massacre. And bro, the mob stories are incredible, bro. Yeah. I love them. I was reading some Irish mob stories and it's kind of funny because the Italians, this is how much life changes and you don't notice it because you don't live in that area. You know how the south side of Chicago right now is the worst part of Chicago? Mm-hmm. And it's all basically African Americans. Mm-hmm. That's where the Italians used to live.
Really?
Yeah. So the mob, like they ran south side and they lived in the south side. But what was my point here? What were we talking about?
Well, we're talking about so Lashley goes over this. We're talking about concussions because he looked like he was
right.
He's bleeding.
So the thing is, they're telling this guy, hey, you can't go around with other people's wives, right? The guy that Joe Pesci plays, and he goes and he does it, and he gets whacked. But you see this a lot where people see, like even in wrestling, even when all our friends were dying of pills and drug overdoses, Glenn, the boys kept partying. Nobody stopped.
Right.
Because it doesn't happen to them.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in basketball. Yeah, they see that this guy in wrestling, this guy went through vertigo and he couldn't wrestle and he was out I don't know how many months. And they're like, well, I got to do what I got to do. That's that mentality.
Right. So next is Adam Pearce is on the phone boasting about the tournament semifinal match. Grayson Waller entered the room. Pearce entered the call and greeted Waller, who suggested that Pearce put the winner of the semifinal match in the hot seat by having that person on his Waller Effects talk show. Pearce liked the idea and agreed to it. Now, I've heard good things about Grayson Waller, but this is a very simple spot for him that I just came. It really wasn't much to it. It's just coming across that he was trying too hard here. And kind of looked like he's overacting a little bit in this small little spot. I'm not being great, but just
I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you on that. But it's the nerves of finally making it to the main roster, and Vince is watching and Hunter's watching, and so there's a lot of nerves that come with it. But I do think this kid, because he's got mega swag, excellent talker, and got a good look, cool little Australian accent. I think he's going to do good. I have high hopes for him.
I like it, but let me make a point. It's just you and Adam Pearce you've got like a 45-second little vignette here. You're basically inviting the guy to think. Okay, so how to make the most of it, right? I just want to go back because Adam Pearce has a lot of these spots where he's just him and another person talking together. Bro, it just goes to show you how smart LA Knight is. Remember when he was in these spots, he would get right up in Adam Pearce's face?
Right, yeah.
Like right next to just like, bro, it's like sometimes when you're given like a little spot like this, you have to kind of like do something over the top to own it. And try to make it like, like stick out.
Bro, I always tell people, go ahead. You're on TV. You always got to bring your A game in all aspects, promos and in the ring. You always got to outdo everybody else. You always got to be remembered. Many guys are on TV week after week after week that they just kind of become lackadaisical and content, and they don't try to up anything. You know what I'm saying? Right. And you just got to always, and that's what LA Knight's done. Whatever little thing they've given him, he's taken advantage of it, and he's done a great job. By the way, where is he?
I heard his spot. I heard he was supposed to be on the show this week, and his spot got canceled because of time or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know. It's like I said, the guy was online. I was like, wow, LA Knight's hot. It's like that was about a month ago, and it hadn't like gotten any hotter. You know what I'm saying? Because he hadn't done much. It's like I don't know. Like he needs another in-ring promo to call somebody out and start an angle with somebody. Because that's what got him over.
Everything he's done has been great. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they're testing him.
Right. So next is Cameron Grimes against Corbin, and Cameron Grimes beats him in 6 seconds with his finish, which is a double stomp on the chest and 1, 2, 3, and it's like, all right, whatever. I don't know. It's like this is. Okay, let's see what happens next week with this. I don't know. What you got any comment on this?
I just thought that that this was odd because you would think they would kind of repackage Corbin after the failure with JBL, which should have gotten over if he dressed like a JBL. I think he dressed once in a suit, but that should have gotten over because JBL was cutting some fantastic promos. And you would have thought they would have repackaged him because this guy does have talent. And Cameron Grimes, who we worked with in Impact, and Ed's very talented. He just screams mid-carder to me. I'm surprised he beat him that quick. But maybe there's a rematch next week, or maybe there's a program down the road between them two.
So next is the Bloodlines out there with Roman. And he said, greatness garners respect. There's a lot of talk about royal families in the wrestling business, but there's only one. Reigns said that every man in the ring main evented both nights of WrestleMania, and Reigns said they're the only family that will ever main event both nights of WrestleMania. Reigns said they kept pushing along at Backlash. He said even though he wasn't there, someone had to step up. But he said Solo stepped up. There was concern when they brought up Solo because he'd be in the ring with the very best of all time. And Reigns spoke about being thrown into the deep end and said that Solo swims like a shark. Reigns credited Sikoa with taking care of problems. He mentioned that Sikoa solved the Riddle problem. Sikoa spoke to Reigns, who said Solo was so good that he was still thinking about the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn problem. Reigns told him not to worry about it because they're no longer the problem. And Reigns told Sikoa the problem are Sikoa's brothers. So the Usos kind of got a little nervous here. And Reigns asked if the Usos thought they could lose at WrestleMania and they wouldn't talk about it. Reigns recalled the Usos dedicating their tag title rematch to him and then losing. Reigns said he's not even a tag team wrestler. He said they have Hall of Fame tag teams in their family and took issues with the Usos dedicating the match to him. Reigns said he tried to take a little time away and they embarrassed him and their family. You know better than this, Reigns said, before demanding that the Usos apologize. Reigns told the Usos he didn't want to see anything come out of their mouths unless it was, I apologize or I'm sorry, my tribal chief. And Jimmy smiled as he spoke off mic, and Reigns asked if Jimmy was laughing. Reigns said that if he were Jimmy, he wouldn't listen to the fans. He took issue with Jimmy smiling and asked if they were doing the commercial again. He asked if he's a clown and then pie-faced him. Reigns asked Jimmy if he was going to do something. Then Heyman ducked between the ropes, and that was actually funny. Like Heyman's getting out of the ring, so he seems to go to fight, right?
Bro, so then Jimmy, I mega popped at that.
Jimmy moved forward, but Jay cut in front of him, and they censored something here because the verbiage went out. I think he may have cussed. We apologize, Oos, Jay said. You give us one more shot to bring back the championships to the Bloodline, Oos, and Reigns said Jay was right. The tag team titles will come back to the Bloodline. Then Reigns told Heyman to fill them in. Then Heyman took the mic and explained that Reigns showed up with a game plan. He said Reigns had him flex their muscle with the board of directors and announced that the tag titles would come home to the Bloodline and Night of Champions when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will lose their tag titles to Solo and Roman. Heyman slipped the mic back to Reigns and said he was dedicating his and Sikoa's tag title win to the greatest tag team of all time, Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans. and that's how it ended. And Cole stated on commentary that the Usos were speechless, embarrassed, and humiliated. What'd you think of it?
I thought this was excellent. And let me just say, I think you missed the Bobby Lashley match. Did we talk about that? The one with
I said he went over. We talked about he looked like he got, but he went over. So yeah. Lashley.
All right. So let me go back to this, bro. This was great because Roman's returns. He humiliates his cousins. He pie faces one of them. He puts over Sikoa, and then Paulie everybody by saying, yeah, we're going to get those tag titles back, but it's going to be Solo and Roman Reigns. I don't know why people kind of popped or why he threw this in their face when he goes, oh, the greatest tag team is Alpha and Sika. They should be joyous. That's their family. Bro, Pat Patterson told me this story that Alpha and Sika used to go to the matches in San Francisco and would get unruly and beat up people. And so they just invited him to wrestle. And I think they beat up a couple wrestlers. How great is that?
I got a funny story.
How great is that story?
I got a funny story.
Yeah.
I forget what this is not. It's a while back, but around maybe around the time we were doing Impact in like the mid 2000s, right, to 2003, whatever. And Eric Watts was at the show one time, right? And bro, he was just talking about his Bill Watts was like a tough guy, like a shoot tough guy, right?
Right.
Eric was telling me a story that that his dad literally like the week before, and this is Bill Watts is 56, maybe late 50s, early 60 years old.
Right.
Had got in a fight with 2 Oklahoma football players and beat them up. It's like bro, these old school wrestler guys, everything tough guys. They were shoot tough guys because sometimes you to break in the business, you had to know how to fight, and they would find people that know how to fight and teach them how to work. But if you didn't know how to fight, it's like it was hard to get in the business.
Right.
So it's that's interesting that that's a. That story was the Samoans were beating people up, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's a great story. And here's the thing that I love this because you could tell Jimmy wasn't like the way they're being berated, and he was about to go off. And then his brother, what great storytelling. Then his brother's like, yeah, we're sorry. Like he doesn't want any problems. He's always been kind of submissive a little bit more than the other guy. Because if you remember, even though Jay was a hothead, it was mostly at Sammy. But if you remember when Jimmy came back,
he was had the nobody's bitch shirts. Remember?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. To reunite with his brother, he was telling Roman, "You might disrespect my brother, but you ain't gonna disrespect me." And I think that gonna come out again, bro. What?
Right.
This great stuff. And then I loved. So this has been going on for 3 years, and it looks like they're finally gonna. This is how great the story's been. They've kept us immersed for 3 years before they finally, break up, and it's great. But Paulie was incredible because this is what he did. First, he was behind the Usos, right? Mm-hmm. Then when he saw that they were kind of getting berated, he moved over behind Roman and Solo, okay? Right. Then he got into the corner and he acted scared like he always does. And then when it looked like was going to get real, what you alluded to before, he stepped in the apron, okay? Right. But then the best part is when it looked like nobody was going to fight, he came back in.
Right.
This guy's great. Yeah. Because he doesn't take away from anybody or overshadow.
You notice it, but he's not the focus. Right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's great.
Right. So this is okay. So the damage control to the promo, I fast forwarded through. I don't even care what they said.
Okay. Let me just say this. I have to say this, bro. Not sure why the slow burn with damage control because it hasn't worked. I don't know why their breakup is slow burn. Just break them the fuck up. Right. Nobody cares. I'm serious. So
for more storytelling, to kind of tell the story here. So they showed Joaquin, Cruz del Toro, and Zelina Vega were backstage, and the Usos showed up, and they were accused of laughing at them. The Rey Mysterio and Santos showed up, and they all kind of laughed at the Usos. The Usos kind of got laughed at and had to walk away. So they're showing that they're kind of they're telling the story. They're kind of like a laughing stock right now, which is good stuff. Right.
You know what they're doing, Glenn, and this is why the storytelling is they're getting sympathy on them.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They're feeling sorry for them.
Right.
Yeah, right. Bro, the way this has been done has been masterful.
Right.
Yeah.
So next is so Liv and Raquel against Bailey and Dakota Kai in a championship tag team match, and Liv and Raquel go over. They've done honestly, have Liv and Raquel Rodriguez, since they've been champion, done anything but walk out, wrestle, defend their titles, and leave? Have they done any I haven't seen them do any promos or just
no character development. Why they're together? It's just a random. It was a random. To me, it was a random thing, and you see this happening in booking a lot because you were a booker.
Right.
All right. Liv gets over. She's hot. We all like her. She's easy to work with. We got to do something with her. Raquel also is very friendly, always smiling, very nice. Let's put them together until we figure something out, and that's what it kind of feels like to me, And bro, I like this. Poor Raquel, who's pretty bland. Her new thing to kind of make her look cool is now she comes to the ring with sunglasses on. She also
So let me say this, and this is I don't know, it's funny too because we talk about things on the show, and sometimes we'll see they'll do something we talk about. Regardless, who knows who listens to this, right? I'm going to throw this out there, and this is a very simple way to change this up, because every person we talked about here, Damage Control, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, have no character development right now. They're all just challenging and stuff, everything. Bro, this would be a good spot for us to switch our thing, like have Bailey flip on those guys and join with Raquel and them, and maybe turn them heel, and because Dakota Kai and Io Sky are kind of smaller girls. They don't like when you're the heels and you're two small characters. It's very they're not getting any heel heat, and it'd be a lot easier for smaller girls to get sympathy. Because Io Sky was getting a pop against Bianca Belair in the match. It's like she was getting a babyface pop. It's all right, maybe Io Sky would be a better babyface for us. So let's just blow all this up. Let's switch some of these characters and their roles and stuff and try to get the women's division more interesting.
But besides switching character, the crux of the problem is they got to sit down and write a good, interesting storyline. Because it's like Bianca Belair. I'll give you an example. She's got all the charisma in the world, good looking, athletic, personable, likable, which might be the same thing. Okay. And she feels stale as and got booed in Puerto Rico. Right. Because she's not doing it. She's just defending the title, kind of like Orange Cassidy does. All he does is defend the title, but people haven't gotten tired of him yet. But they will, because you need to be in a storyline.
Yeah. So backstage, Ridge Holland and Butch are trying to cheer up Sheamus about his loss earlier. Okay, this is this is another thing where just you give people a spot and they just overact, and it's whatever. So Pretty Deadly is out there. Right. Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. They showed up with clipboards.
Ooh.
Sheamus asked which one was pretty and which one was deadly, and they asked that they should put down unintelligent grunt to describe Butch, who had to be held back by Sheamus and Holland. After the Pretty Deadly duo exited, Sheamus said, "You'll find out," to Holland, who said they should go have some pints. This whatever. They would have been better off doing a vignette instead of a
Pretty Deadly.
They did vignette, not this.
Right, Pretty Deadly came up as whack with the unfunny jokes and showed me nothing here.
Right.
But let's see what happens. But the blonde guy reminded me of a cross between Dolph Ziggler and the blonde guy from Fandango.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It looked like they're the new Fandango.
Tyler Breeze.
Right.
Yeah. Tyler Breeze. Yeah.
Bianca. Okay, so this is weird. Bianca Belair came out for her celebration. Which to me, this was they had balloons, and everything, all this and stuff, and she greeted family and friends at ringside. So then she gets in the ring, and Asuka comes out. So this must be a big celebration, which is kind of like usually in the history of professional wrestling, this is usually a spot for a heel having a celebration. Which I was wondering if this is because I was thinking they're having Bianca Belair's having a celebration because she got kind of booed a little bit in Puerto Rico. It's maybe they're going to give her a shot at maybe she's going to come out here and be real cocky and stuff and everything and maybe start a heel turn. That's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
So then Asuka comes out her non-wrestling attire without the mask and everything, and she offers her a handshake and instead blows the green mist in her eyes. And this was just an absolutely overacted scenario where Bianca Belair kept screaming, act like stuff was in it, and it was just like, bro, this was very bad acting. And like this whole segment, and like Asuka was laughing, and it just to me this wasn't good TV at all. It wasn't heat. It just looked like bad acting. I mean, but do you get the same feeling I did watching this?
Well, I think that this was good for the fact because now she has somebody to wrestle for, and she has a reason to wrestle because she turned on her because they were supposed to be, girls, right? And Asuka is a good wrestler. The problem is people like her a lot. Mm-hmm. She's gonna have to do like really heelish things to, get some heat. Like, and that was a heelish thing she did. And I do think Bianca overacted, but I'd rather her overact than underact. At least she sold it. And here's the thing with Asuka, please, WWE, you do everything else so well. If she's going to speak Japanese, put subtitles or have somebody that can interpret.
Right.
I mean, she might as well not say anything.
What happened to that faction? Remember we were watching NXT when Xia Li, remember she had the guy that was like her mouth?
Oh, Bolo or whatever.
What happened to that?
I don't know. Maybe you could ask Jeremy Borash. He probably knows.
I could see like a very, well-spoken Japanese guy like that, like being like a heel mouthpiece for something.
He had a good look. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. So next is then they go backstage and she's on the trainer's table still overacting and screaming, and they're not. They're like, she's like out. Okay. And the funniest thing is like I'm watching, like, remember when Brock Lesnar got color against Cody at the pay-per-view, right? And at the end of the match, Brock is in the ring with a towel wiping the blood off his face, off his head. Okay, like which anybody that's bleeding would do. It's like Bianca Belair is like freaking out and everything. Bro, get like a wet towel, put it on her eyes, like, dude, act like you're trying to, like, if she's like you're freaking out over something, like, act like you're attending to her. Like, this whole thing of just standing there and doing nothing while the girl's, like, overacting and freaking out just looks silly. It's like I said, this was a very poorly produced segments with Bianca and Asuka here.
And the worst part, here's the worst part, and this is just me being, having a clinical eye. When Bianca was selling the thing, she kept rubbing her eyes, and I'm like, bro, you're making it worse.
Like get a towel. I mean, like, dude, like I don't do.
What
like
you
have
would,
have
what
the
you
guy,
would do.
Have be like lying on a table, and the guys are like taking eye drops and putting it. Make it look. You sell it. Now you go like screaming like this is very absurd. I didn't like it. Like for example, like attention to detail. And I was always good with attention to detail when I was an Asian. There was a spot I produced one time where Goldberg was in the back. And he wanted to get into a room. I forgot it. Maybe it was in the angle with Scott Steiner or something. I mean, he was supposed to get there was a room. 4 security guards are standing in front of the room. You can't go in there. And Goldberg wipes out the 4 guys and opens the door and goes to the room. We shot it, like we laid it out and we shot it. And it's like, bro, like they did it. And like, Goldberg, how was that? Okay. And I'm like, bro, that looked fine, but there was literally like no noise. Like you're beating these guys up, and there's not even like a grunt or an audible sound from the guys like silent. Like silent. Like the guys are selling, but they're not making any sound at all. Like they're like, oof, like if you punch somebody or knock somebody. I said, let's do it again. Guys, sell like a human being would sell. If he kicks you in the stomach, you're gonna be like, oh, make some noise, right? So I did it again, and they made noise. It's like if I was like in charge of that segment with Bianca and everything, I would have like laid done what I did. Like, let's make this look realistic.
Right, exactly.
I could not. Well, like when we would have spots at TNA where guys are bleeding, and we'd have the I go, bro, what EMT is going to see a guy bleeding profusely and just stand there and watch the guy bleed? I go, take the towel, apply direct pressure. Like you would do to sell the fact that the guy's bleeding profusely. To cover your nose, we see the blood, put a towel on his head. Like, because it looks fake if you're not even attending to, like, if you're an EMT and you're standing there watching somebody in agony and you're not doing anything, it looks fake. Because, like, they'd be helping you out. So I don't know. It's kind of weird how wrestling's always done that. They don't, I don't know. So next we go to AJ and Bobby, 12 minutes. Bobby went for a spear, and Lashley hit the ring post and crashed, and then he hit him with the phenomenal forearm, and he beats him, and now he's going to wrestle Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. What's the next pay-per-view, Joe?
The Night of Champions?
I think it's next Friday.
Oh, it's in Saudi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be Saturday afternoon in Saudi, which is going to be Friday night here. So, yeah. So or is it going to be Friday morning here?
No, I think it's It's on SmackDown next week.
What, that match?
Yeah.
They're not making that. They're not putting that on the Saudi pay-per-view.
What is it, Joe? Can you check? Because I might be wrong.
Well, let me look.
United Champions is Saturday, May 27th.
Okay, so it's a week and a half.
Let me check the card.
Yes, here it is. So the broadcast team ran through the WWE United Champions card while graphics were shown, including one for AJ Styles. Yeah, AJ and Seth is going to be up. That's a Night of Champions
final. Yeah.
Right. All right. So that should be a great match. I don't know if those guys have they ever had an angle with each other, because those guys' styles should be perfect for each other.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so
that's gonna be good. And let me just say this: Bobby Lashley, man, at his age, he's still a great worker, and he had 2 really good performances. So I wanted to kudos him. Right. I thought this was a pretty good show because you had Asuka turning heel, you had the Bloodline soap opera continues, you had some good matches, you had a clean finish against Lashley, which I was surprised it would be clean but good. I thought it was a pretty good show overall, especially the Bloodline segment.
Yeah. All right. So that's been our SmackDown review.